Hello, Mr. Krasovsky.
Hello.
It's great to have you here for the interview.
Thank you.
Why did you come to the festival?
I was invited. I was invited by its artistic director, Yossi Reshev, who is a good friend, and it was a good opportunity. I loved the opportunity to come to Berlin. I was working here at Barenboim Said Academy 2 years before the COVID came and sort of changed all the plans. And so I'm here.
And how do you like it so far?
Very much. It is very serious, very professional, and the students are very talented and from all over the world, and good conditions to work, to get into the essence of what we are doing. So it was very pleasant.
Do you think that a student should always perform the whole piece at the beginning of a lesson?
Well, it depends. I don't have a clear idea about that. It depends. For example, if it is in a process that we are working on a piece, and certainly we cannot do everything during the one lesson, so next lesson there is no point of repeating the same thing. On the other hand, sometimes it is, because to see also how it is progressing in this work. So it very much depends. It depends on students, it depends on the mood, it depends on how much time we have, many things.
I see. And what do you do different when teaching in a master class than in a regular lesson?
That's a not easy question to say. I mean, basically, I think that I have to be more sort of communicative, also something to give something to the audience and so on. But when you start working, it eventually comes to the same route, and like you know, on the in a tram or train, you eventually go on the same line and go, because you're dealing with the same thing. It doesn't matter if it is in tête-à-tête or if it is with an audience. And that sometimes there is very small audience anyway, so you don't feel any different. And that there is, if there is something important to say, to impair the student, so you do it. And why should it be different if you think that you need to say, or if you think that student needs to receive something, the circumstances are not changing it.
And do you feel that you also learn something from teaching?
A lot, absolutely. It is interesting because you can do, you see, on one hand it's tempting, on the other hand it is dangerous, but the difference is that when I work myself, I have to be involved in how do you do it in more way. Of course I have to think also what you are doing, yeah? And then when I work with a student, the relative weight of those things, how and what, changes, because mostly what. How, it's only when you see that a student, well, they're advanced usually, when the student has some kind of difficulty, then you have to think about it, more or less in the way that if it is your difficulty. But when I'm playing, everything is difficult. So it is a little bit, it's not different as much as it's changed a little bit of proportion between what and how, and that could be different.
Do you have a memorable moment from teaching a student?
Well, I had a student who played difficult pieces, but had very big problem with Mozart sonata. Really had big problem, and he felt also, and he was frustrated, and this and that. And just before coming here, he came to a lesson, and suddenly it started to receive shape. It's a lot of gratification, because you think how to do it and what, and maybe I'm explaining something wrong, and maybe I'm demanding something wrong, and then you suddenly feel that under the fingers it becomes a thing that we are working to achieve, and that is very gratifying. It is not the most difficult piece. It's not the piece that he is going to I don't know, to get a career thanks to its performance, but it is a task that came up and was or is in a direction of being solved rather nicely. So that's a joy.
Great. Do you think that it's possible to predict the future of a student?
Not these days. No.
I mean, not in terms of career. I mean, more like in terms of skill development.
Yeah, but it's even skill development is very much interconnected with career, with all other things. It's very complex, and if somebody works hard and doesn't get where he wants to get, and he sees other his peers, his friends, that they are doing in different fields, and the route is usually more clear, more straight. So he or she may just sort of say, well, what the hell I need it for? It can be. So to predict, and that thing is getting more and more complex, more and more difficult. It's not that you, I have been lucky, you know, my former students, one of them is professor at the Juilliard School today, yes? And there are others also some in teaching and some in performing. In Berlin, I have, maybe 5 or 6 students who live here and do very well. So, but I thought, well, somebody who is very talented somehow will find his place. It did work out to a great extent, but I'm not sure that it had to. I mean, it was a little luck. But in general, it's very hard to predict.
Do you have a funny moment that you remember from teaching?
I don't remember so much, but I know that there were. There were funny moments, you know, certain situations, certain things. But now it's difficult to recall something very specific. It's not that there was something that I all the time keep returning to think about it.
How do you combine teaching and performing?
Well, for example, today I'm only teaching. But otherwise, when there are things to be done, also a lot of chamber music and all that. So I have to combine. I get up earlier. I go to my studio at the academy where I teach very early, sometimes before 8 o'clock, because the mornings are productive. You are fresh. And it has to be done. So, you know, that's how it is.
Do you have a favorite composer to teach?
Yeah. Well, not one, but several, yes.
Several.
Maybe the most is Schubert and Brahms, but also Haydn, Mozart, Beethoven. So
long list, yeah.
It's a long list.
I see.
Yeah, but for example, there are. I like also, for example, today. Some very fine pianist here played for me Scriabin Sonata, so I like it, and but I would not say that I am as comfortable and as free and as confident in that as in some other composers.
I understand. And do you have a favorite piece to teach?
Well, any Beethoven sonata, any Schubert piece, Brahms. There it is already very difficult to make distinction. Also, it happens sometimes in certain circumstance, with certain piece, with certain student is especially sort of pulling to get and to work and to achieve something. And in other circumstances, the same piece can be sort of less attractive. It's very depending on circumstances.
Did you change your teaching over the years?
Well, I would imagine that is so, yeah. But I don't know much about the teaching methods. So I'm teaching very much depending on situation, on the student. and on what is around, and how much time there is to prepare piece and this kind of things. And they change all the time, and so it is quite a mobile situation, let us say. It is not set rules, that certain principles, and I look and check off.
Some people see teaching as a calling. What is your opinion on that?
Well, I think that there is something in it. There is something in it. I know that also there are situations that performers go into teaching just to gain financial security, to get a paycheck every month from the institution. But real teachers, I know few, that they long ago stopped performing, and it was only teaching. I must, of course, mention here Bashkirov, Dmitry Bashkirov. He played, but in the last years of his life, he already played only for himself or for friends. This time he won the Marguerite Long competition in Paris, and he was very, but his personality, his need to communicate, to explain always, to speak, that is something that it is infectious. And it is, to me, not at all surprising that some of his best students who won one Kleiber competition and stuff like that eventually ended up as professors. So here at this conservatory, the competing one, the
Hans Eisler.
Hans Eisler, yeah, in Hans Eisler. So there is Nebulsin. So he is a very important professor, and Kirill Gerstein is a very important professor, and they're all Eldar Nebulsin, and they're all students of Bashkirov, and also he's in the United States, and he's in Lake Como and in Madrid. Stanislav Yudenich, also a fabulous pianist, winner of Van Cliburn, and I think that in those instances it is the example, this passion to teach, to share, to achieve something. So there are teachers like that. I know also teachers who don't play at all. For example, in Moscow, Tatiana Zelikman, who produced a huge amount of very fine virtuosi, she doesn't play. She only teaches it, but she teaches all the time, day and night. So I think that it is to it. As a calling, yeah, it is.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Krasovsky. It was a very interesting interview.
Thank you.